Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining me. Today I'm making this video to share with you a very profound, very cool experience I had. And I know a lot of you are followers and listeners of Kryon, and as am I, and that's how a lot of you ended up here in the first place. So I think you will find a lot of enjoyment in hearing this story because it's something that we've all looked forward to and many of us have expected for a very long time. And as I was leaving the hospital, through that time, as hard as it was, there were so many miracles and so many synchronicities at the same time that I was kind of overwhelmed and I didn't feel very multidimensional. So I didn't really know what to expect once leaving the hospital. I was okay with whatever came my way. I wasn't sure if I would be reading the Akashic records anymore or doing YouTube videos anymore. It was pretty much wide open for me. So, as frustrating as that sounds and as that could seem, it was exciting at the same time. And yeah, so during that state, I wasn't feeling multidimensional at all. I didn't really try to meditate. I didn't really try to communicate just because I didn't feel like I could. And in the beginning, when I tried, I felt like I was denied in a way. It was weird. Anyway, during that time, not feeling multidimensional, there were a few occasions where I was laying there and there were some orbs in the room. They were blue, which was interesting because not really seen blue orbs before. So I was curious about what that was about, but there was nothing coming through and I didn't really care to pursue that. So interestingly enough, a few weeks after getting out, I was sleeping on the couch just for my recovery. It was easier for me. So that's where I was, and I hadn't been dreaming all that time either. So it was kind of just 3D, 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 and more 3D. And I was looking forward to getting back on that multidimensional horse. So I went to sleep one night and I had a dream. It didn't start out as a lucid dream, but it eventually turned into a lucid dream. It was a family gathering. Everybody was in our living room, in our kitchen, just kind of joking around, cooking dinner. The environment, you're familiar. Just happy times, everyone's comfortable with each other, playing around and looking forward to having some food. So the interesting thing is Lee Carroll was there. Lee Carroll was doing dishes, in fact, and it didn't occur to me that maybe he was out of place there. So he was just kind of part of the fun and part of the conversation and one of the family members. And eventually got to the point where people were discussing organisms and plant life and life on the planet in general and Mother Nature and Gaia. And, obviously my attention turned to Lee because I had something that I wanted to share with him. But I couldn't for the life of me figure out or remember what I had intended to share with him. So I was kind of searching through my phone for the name of something and I had him waiting there. I was like, oh, Lee, you got to see this. Lee, you got to see this. Hold on. But, it was in that dream state when you're trying to focus on something, it becomes elusive. It becomes very hard to... What I was trying to do was do a Google search to show him a picture or some information. And typing in the name of what I was trying to search was not working, was not happening. So eventually that frustration allowed me to turn that dream into a lucid dream. And I immediately looked up from my phone and said, "Hey, what are you doing here, Lee?" And his response to me, with the biggest smile on his face, was, "Todd, you have my blessing." And I said, "Okay." And then we hugged and the dream was over. And, I woke up feeling so energetically pumped up. Every hair on my body was standing up. You know, that dream, as simple as it may seem, was a very important check mark on my journey and on my path, and maybe kicked off one of probably the most profound experience I've had on this spiritual path since I originally awakened way back in 2009 to a Pleiadian light ship. So I woke up, the room was dark. I kind of, sat up and examined the environment. Nothing was out of place, nothing was different. I was just reflecting and examining what I had just experienced, because that's how profound it was. And then out of the corner of my eye, I start to see the blue orbs again, and then they make their way into the middle of the living room and become more visible. And to me, that indicates someone's looking to chat with me. So what do? I instantly dive into the Akashic records, something I hadn't done since before I went into the hospital. So it took a very profound experience like that to get my attention so that I would dive back in, because I was not feeling the spiritual stuff at all. In fact, I was very turned off by the spiritual stuff. I was having a lot of highs and lows. I was thrilled about the experiences I was having, but I was also looking at the other end of that and, tired and exhausted and just needed a break, needed to release and unwind and start over, which is exactly what my plan was and what I was doing at the time. But, seeing those orbs triggered something in me, and I knew I just had to dive back in. So I go into the records, I did my little ritual, I got myself in the right mind space, and I tuned into that frequency and was greeted in the Akashic Temple by Kryon. And when you go into the records, it's always different. I always leave myself open and extend an invitation for whoever they wish, if somebody wishes to come and discuss something with me, they are allowed that opportunity. And I know it's safe, because when you enter that space and you do it the right way, you don't have to worry about who's there to greet you and who's there to communicate with you, because if they are of bad intentions and not in that space for the right reasons, they can't get past the bouncers at the door. So it's very comfortable and it's very easy to go in that space and remove the ego, remove the logical mind, remove the linear mind, just because it's a sacred space that is guarded by beings who outrank anybody who would attempt to enter there. That's the whole purpose for being there. That's the whole purpose for the Akashic records existing. Otherwise, we would never know who we really were, and all of that information would be left open to interpretation by whoever has an agenda to do that. To change our story for their own personal benefit. That's not something you have to worry about at all with the Akashic records. That's why it's such a great place to meet with the guides, especially if you are new or if you're struggling with the communication aspect of all of this spiritual work. If you enter the Akashic records with pure intent, then none of the 3D survival mechanisms can interrupt what you are entering that space to accomplish. So I meet Kryon there, and obviously physically I'm going through a lot at that time. So our topic of discussion is cellular communication and how to bridge the gap of communication between the soul and the cells. And this is a concept I'm familiar with and have been learning and practicing, educating myself on for a very long time. So my question was, what piece of the puzzle was I missing? And there is a lot of information that I will be relaying to you going forward, because I'm going to be working and communicating with Kryon a lot and bringing through that wisdom onto YouTube. So keep that in mind going forward. There's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to expect. And I have the highest expectations myself. But during this initial meeting, obviously, I was super excited and honored to be in a position to make contact like that. And, you know, that is a decade's plus worth of work paying off. I had always dreamed about that, that night would happen, and it did. It happened right at the exact time I needed it to, because I needed to get back on the horse, and I needed something seriously profound to get me back up on that horse. So very grateful. And one of the biggest things that I took from that meeting is, you know, even though I was in a really good mindset and I was happy to be there, I was a little upset and distraught, thinking that I had worked so hard to start this business and to create this service of doing Akashic Records reading. And I felt like, you know, I did it for a month. I had just gotten started and everything crumbled and fell away. So I was still bitter. I was still a little bit sore about that, and I hadn't had any closure or any understanding of what that was about. So I asked Kryon, I said, you know, what is the reason for me going through that? I was doing so well. I was receiving everything I had been looking forward to and expected, and I was being of service at the same time, and I felt like vibrationally I shouldn't have been attacked like that. And Kryon's response to me was, so would you like what you had, or would you like something better? Because you can't have both. And, you know, obviously I said I would like something better. And Kryon said, okay, then let's move forward, because the work had just begun. And the reason I'm sharing this now, you know, I know it's been brought to my attention that my experience is not unique. I know a lot of you are having your guides and your higher self take you out of the discussion and removing things from your situation and your circumstances forcefully. You know, things that are hanging around too long, overstaying their welcome, and just need to go, and things that require divine intervention to get rid of. So Spirit right now is asking a lot of you to go through a lot. They are changing the furniture around, as Kryon likes to say. We're getting comfortable, and then things are getting shaken up, and, you know, it's a source of frustration for 3, because we like things to be in order, we like things to be in place, we like to have a plan, and we like to feel like we are established in one way or another. But when things are falling away around you and we don't really understand why, repeat to yourself, if not this, something better. Because that is the mantra that Spirit is chanting to you behind the scenes. And I truly know in my heart that better things are on their way for you. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.